It looks ordinary, just another copper penny in a handful of change. But the truth is stranger than fiction. The 2019 W. Lincoln cent. A coin so rare, so unexpected, it stunned the collecting world. And one version without the mint mark is rumored to be worth up to $1.9 million. In 2019, the U.S. Mint decided to celebrate the humble Lincoln penny. For the very first time, they struck cents with the W. Mint mark, the mark of West Point, a facility normally reserved for gold, silver, and commemorative coins. It was meant to be a collector's prize, tucked into special proof and mint sets. Only a fraction were ever made. But here's where the mystery begins. Some of these coins slipped through with missing details. A few surfaced without the expected mint mark at all. Imagine holding a coin that was supposed to shout its rarity, but instead hid it in plain sight. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to verify what they were seeing. Could this be real? Could a 2019 Lincoln penny exist without the famous W mint mark? And if so, what would it be worth? One of these strange no mint mark specimens was discovered by accident in a small-town coin shop, tucked inside a mixed batch of cents. The shop owner almost sold it for face value. Almost. But after closer inspection, he realized he was staring at something extraordinary. Within weeks, whispers spread through forums, auction houses, and dealer networks. A 2019 no mint mark, Lincoln had crossed the block, and it didn't just sell. It soared. Bidding wars erupted. What should have been just another penny was climbing toward the stratosphere. And here's why this tiny detail matters so much. The U.S. Mint's official records insist the W cents were controlled, packaged, distributed in sets only. None were supposed to leave the facility without the mint mark. But just as with the legendary 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double die, mistakes at the mint have a way of slipping past even the tightest controls. This exact penny is the kind of coin that turns dreams into reality. Collectors were floored. Dealers called it one of the most shocking finds of the decade. Some said it shouldn't exist at all. Others swore more are still out there, waiting to be discovered in everyday change to the naked eye. The coin looks just like any other 2019 penny. Lincoln's familiar profile, the shield reverse, the date, the shine, everything feels ordinary, except for one crucial, breathtaking detail: the missing W. On a genuine West Point cent, you'll find the W mint mark clearly placed beneath the date. But on the million-dollar mistake, nothing. A clean, empty field. As if the mint mark had vanished into thin air. Collectors who know what to look for are scouring rolls, jars, and bank boxes. Stories circulate of casual finds. A man emptying his glove box, a woman counting coins at her kitchen table, only to realize they're holding a treasure worth more than a Ferrari. But here's the warning. Many beginners confuse these with regular Philadelphia pennies, which also lack a mint mark. Don't make that mistake. A true 2019 West Point center should never, under any circumstances, appear without the W. That's the difference between an everyday cent and a fortune. Every so often, a coin comes along that redefines the meaning of luck, patience, and destiny. The 2019 W. Lincoln cent without a mint mark is one of those coins. It's a story whispered in collector circles, a mystery hiding in plain sight, a once-in-a-lifetime chance waiting in pocket change to SO tonight. When you empty your pockets, when you check that old jar in the garage, when you sift through that forgotten coffee can of coins, take a closer look. Peer beneath the date. Search for the missing mint mark. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost slipped through the cracks. It looked like any other ordinary coin, tossed into a handful of loose change, ignored at gas stations, passed across counters without a second thought. But when one sharp-eyed collector took a second look, he realized he wasn't holding just a penny. He was holding $1 million miracle. The year was 2015. Denver Mint. Tens of millions of Lincoln pennies poured into circulation. Nothing unusual, nothing extraordinary, or so everyone thought. But in that sea of copper-coated coins, a shocking mistake slipped through. A tiny imperfection, a subtle variation, a hidden error that turned one everyday penny into a life-changing fortune. Most people who handled this coin never even noticed. They let it slip through their fingers, jingling into cash drawers and vending machines, vanishing into circulation. But a few collectors, armed with nothing more than curiosity and patience, spotted something different, something that didn't belong. And that small detail has transformed an ordinary cent into a prize worth more than $1 million. But here's where it gets even stranger. The Denver Mint is known for precision. Quality control is ruthless. Mistakes almost never leave the facility. Yet somehow, in 2015, a flawed die, used to stamp the image of Abraham Lincoln, produced a batch of pennies with a Rit D mark. A mark so unusual, so mysterious, that the coin community erupted with disbelief when it was first uncovered, and what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Collectors began whispering about it on forums. Dealers started digging through their stockpiles. And when one of these rare 2015 Rit D pennies hit the auction block, jaws dropped. The hammer fell. The final price? Over $1.4 million. For a penny. A single cent, plucked from change, transformed into a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot. Think about that for a moment. Someone could have paid for a coffee with this coin. Someone could have left it on a convenience store counter. Someone could have tossed it into a jar at home and forgotten it forever. And yet today, it stands as one of the most valuable modern Lincoln cents ever discovered. But the mystery runs deeper. How did this Rit D marking appear? Some experts believe it was a die clash, an error that occurs when the coin dies strike each other without a blank planchet between them, leaving ghost-like impressions. Others suggest it may have been a misengraving, a slip of the hand in the engraving department that went unnoticed. Whatever the cause, the result was undeniable, an error so dramatic, so rare, that only a handful of examples are known to exist, and this is where the story takes a turn. Because if just a few of these pennies survived, that means there could still be more out there. Hiding, buried in pockets, piggy banks, or coffee cans full of spare change. Maybe even in your possession right now. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin. Collectors are desperate to spot one in the wild. Every day, someone posts a blurry photo online asking, "Is this the one? Did I find it?" And while 99% of those coins turn out to be common sense, every once in a while, the answer is yes. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it.so. What should you look for? First, the date, 2015. Then, the mint mark, a small D just beneath the year, signifying it was struck in Denver. But here's the key. On the rare Rit D error coins, there are odd, unnatural impressions near the mint mark. Distortions in the lettering. The letters appear doubled, twisted, or partially rewritten, almost as if the word Rit is ghosting across the surface. Under magnification, the detail is unmistakable. To the untrained eye, it's easy to dismiss as damage. But to a collector, it's the golden ticket. Beware, though. Countless ordinary 2015 D pennies flood circulation, and many are scratched, dented, or stained in ways that mimic errors. Don't be fooled. True Rit D errors show consistent, repeating die characteristics, sharp, mechanical-looking distortions, not random scrapes or gouges. That's the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a coin worth over $1 million. Collectors were shocked when the first example crossed the auction block. Some thought it was hype. Some thought it couldn't be real. But as more experts confirmed the anomaly, as more evidence piled up, the truth became undeniable. A coin born from a mistake had become one of the most sought-after modern rarities in U.S. history. And here's the most thrilling part. You don't need to be a millionaire to join the hunt. You don't need a private vault or a secret dealer or insider connections. All you need is your eyes, your patience, and a handful of pennies. Because at this very moment, somewhere in America, another one of these coins could be waiting to be found. Imagine pulling out a penny from your pocket, holding it under the light, and seeing the faint, ghostly Rit D impression staring back at you. Imagine the shock, the disbelief, the rush of adrenaline when you realize you're holding a fortune in your hand. That feeling has already changed lives. And it could change yours.so tonight, when you empty your pockets. Tomorrow, when you count your change. Next week, when you roll up your pennies. Look closer. Examine every 2015 D cent you find. Tilt it. Light it. Inspect that mint mark with a magnifying glass. Because hidden among the ordinary, the forgotten, the overlooked, might be the extraordinary. This isn't just a coin. It's a reminder that history hides in plain sight. That treasures are still out there, waiting for someone bold enough, curious enough, patient enough to uncover them. And that one ordinary penny, one single cent, can rewrite a life story forever. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It looks like any ordinary Lincoln penny. The same coppery shine, the same face we've all seen 1,000 times and change. But hidden in the tiniest corner of this coin is a mistake so rare, so shocking, that when collectors discovered it, the entire coin world was left in disbelief. It's called the 2017 Lincoln penny with the mysterious Rit D mint mark. To the untrained eye, it looks completely normal. But to those who know the secret, it's one of the rarest modern errors in U.S. history. Back in 2017, a batch of Lincoln cents was struck like any other. But in that run, something went terribly wrong. A mispunched mint mark, a ghostly letter combination, a mistake that should have been caught, melted down, destroyed. Yet somehow, a handful slipped through the cracks that at first nobody noticed. These pennies circulated quietly. They ended up in pockets, in change jars, in cash registers across America. Ordinary people were buying coffee, groceries, even gas, with a fortune hiding in plain sight. That a collector in the Midwest spotted something strange. He looked closer at the mint mark beneath Lincoln's date, and instead of the standard D for Denver, he saw something else. A faint, almost ghost-like mark that read Rit D. At first, he thought it was just damage, just a smudge. But the more he studied it, the clearer it became. This wasn't damage at all. This was a minting error unlike anything the hobby had ever seen. When that coin hit the auction block, the bidding war was immediate. Dealers couldn't believe their eyes. A single cent, climbing higher and higher until the hammer finally fell at a jaw-dropping figure that stunned the room. Over $1 million. That it comes down to rarity. In coin collecting, rarity is king. The rarer the error, the higher the value. And this 2017 Rit D penny is almost mythical in its scarcity. Experts believe fewer than a dozen may exist in the entire world. Some say only 3. Imagine that. Just 3 pennies, hidden somewhere among billions. Collectors were shocked. Dealers scrambled to check their stock. Suddenly, every 2017 penny people came across was being held up to the light, magnified, examined like a treasure map. Because this tiny detail, this barely visible minting error, could turn 1 cent into $1 million miracle. Another coin surfaced, this time in the hands of a man who almost spent it on a soda. He kept it in his pocket for weeks, completely unaware of what he was carrying. When he finally showed it to a dealer, the reaction was instant. His life changed overnight. That one coin set him up for the rest of his life. And yet, experts believe the majority of these rare pennies have not yet been found. That means they could be anywhere. They could be in your change from the grocery store, sitting at the bottom of a coffee can in your garage, tucked away in your child's piggy bank. To identify the 2017 Rit D penny, you must look carefully at the date on the front of the coin. Right below the year, you'll see the mint mark. Normally, it should be a clean D for Denver or P for Philadelphia. But on this coin, the mint mark is distorted. Instead of a crisp letter, you'll see what looks like a strange jumble, faint strokes resembling the letters W, R, I, and T clinging to the D. It's not neat. It's not sharp. It looks almost like the mint mark is doubled, warped, or misengraved. Here's the danger. Most people overlook it. They assume it's just a damaged coin. But true experts know the difference between post-mint damage and a genuine minting error. If the letters look raised, part of the coin itself, not scratched and later, you may be holding a jackpot. And one more critical detail: condition matters. If you find this coin in pristine, uncirculated shape, the kind that looks like it just left the mint yesterday, the value skyrockets. Even a worn example is worth a fortune, but in mint state, that's where the million-dollar figures come in. Collectors are hunting day and night. Dealers are watching every auction. And ordinary people are checking their change with newfound excitement. Because history has proven it again and again, life-changing coins are discovered not by experts in vaults, but by everyday people who take a closer look. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Imagine holding an ordinary penny in your hand, the same copper coin you've seen 1,000 times before. Now imagine that tiny disc of metal being worth more than your house, more than your retirement savings, more than most people will ever hold in their lifetime. That's the shocking reality of one mysterious 1975 Lincoln penny. Here's the chilling part. This penny has no mint mark. In 1975, every cent minted in San Francisco carried an S mint mark. Proof coins, polished and struck for collectors, were all supposed to display it proudly. But somehow, a few slipped through without that tiny S. No one knows for sure how. Was it a mistake? A forgotten die? Or something more deliberate? A quiet slip from the mint itself that was never meant to be seen. One day, a collector sorting through what seemed like an ordinary proof set stopped cold. He noticed the date. He looked for the S mint mark, and it wasn't there. His heart must have pounded as he realized the truth. He was staring at one of the rarest coins ever struck. Dealers rushed to verify it. Experts examined every detail. And when the coin finally reached the auction block, the room fell silent. Bidding started modestly, then climbed and climbed and climbed until that tiny penny was declared worth more than $1 million. 1 cent transformed into a fortune. But here's where the story gets even wilder. Only a few of these 1975 no-S proof pennies are known to exist. Some say just 2, maybe 3, have ever been confirmed. That means the odds of finding one are almost impossible, but not 0. And that slim chance is what keeps collectors awake at night, sifting through proof sets, peering through magnifying glasses, dreaming of $1 million discovery. Because here's the secret. The missing mint mark is everything. Without that tiny S, the coin leaps from pocket change to a national treasure. With it, you've got just another penny. Without it, you're holding history. And the tragedy? Most people never look. They hold these coins, they glance at them, and they toss them aside, never realizing they just let $1 million miracle slip through their fingers. Collectors were shocked when the first one appeared. They were even more shocked when another surfaced years later. Each time, it felt like lightning striking twice. And now, the legend grows. Somewhere, in a forgotten drawer, in a dusty album, in a shoebox tucked under a bed, another 1975 no-S Lincoln penny may still be hiding, waiting to be found. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The S mint mark should appear just below the date, crisp and clear. On nearly every proof penny, you'll see it. But on this one, it's gone. Smooth, clean, empty space. That absence is worth more than gold. But beware, countless collectors have fooled themselves. Many confuse worn or damaged coins with the real no-S variety. Don't make that mistake. The true 1975 no-S Lincoln penny only comes from proof sets. Its surfaces shine with a mirror finish, its details sharp as glass. If you find a dull, circulated penny without a mint mark from 1975, it's not the treasure. Only the flawless proof strike holds the $1 million magic. So the next time you open an old proof set, look closer. Tilt it in the light. Breathe slowly, because what you see might change your life. That tiny missing letter, smaller than a grain of rice, could turn your ordinary coin into one of the greatest finds in American history. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but today it's whispered about in hushed tones across the coin world, because one example sold for nearly $1 million. The year was 2020. Most people barely noticed the Lincoln cents sliding through their fingers that year. After all, what could possibly be special about another shiny penny? But deep inside the Denver Mint, something unusual happened. A small batch of Lincoln cents left the presses carrying a mysterious mark, the letters WRITD. A strange anomaly. A bizarre minting quirk. A detail so odd, most people dismissed it without a second glance. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One of these coins surfaced in the hands of an unsuspecting collector. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary penny. Copper-plated zinc, the familiar Lincoln profile, the usual shimmer of modern pocket change. But then, there it was. That tiny, cryptic mark. Writ D. A detail that shouldn't exist. A mystery no one expected. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on this coin. Suddenly, whispers spread. What was the origin of this odd mint mark? Was it an intentional test strike? A secret engraving mistake? A rogue mint worker's forgotten experiment? One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. But here's where the story takes a twist. The 2020 Writ D penny wasn't officially documented. No records, No announcements, no mention in U.S. Mint archives. It was a ghost coin, appearing without explanation, throwing experts into chaos. Numismatists gathered at shows and conventions, staring under microscopes, arguing endlessly about how this strange marking could exist. Some dismissed it as a fake. Others swore it was real and priceless. And then, one coin crossed the auction block. Bidding began modestly, cautious, with murmurs in the room. But within minutes, the numbers climbed. 50,000, 100,000, then 200. The room was electric. By the time the hammer fell, the impossible had happened. A penny born in 2020 had sold for a staggering sum, closing in on $1.6 million. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The RIT-D anomaly isn't a bold, flashy error. It isn't a missing letter or a double strike that leaps off the coin. No, it hides in plain sight, almost like a whisper etched into metal. Most people who hold it never notice. That's the cruel trick of this coin. The treasure is there, staring back at you, and you may already have brushed it aside. Collectors couldn't believe it. Dealers began flipping through rolls like madmen. Pawnshops got phone calls at all hours. Coin shows saw a frenzy not witnessed in decades. And through it all, only a handful of RIT-D pennies ever surfaced. Each one was fought over like buried gold. But the real question haunted everyone. How many more are out there? Imagine this. You're at the grocery store. You get your change. You toss a penny into the console of your car. Months later, you scoop it into a jar on your dresser. You think nothing of it. But what if that one coin, the one sitting in your house right now, is worth over $1 million? That's the dream every collector chases. That's the spark that keeps people hunting through rolls, jars, and boxes late into the night. And here's the part you need to know: how to spot it. If you come across a 2020 Lincoln cent with the Denver Mint mark, take a magnifying glass. Look closely, right under Lincoln's profile. Where the standard D mint mark sits, some coins show faint, almost ghost-like lettering, RIT-D. It's subtle, as if pressed by mistake, but it's there. Don't confuse it with scratches or post-mint damage. Don't assume it's dirt or a flaw. This is the tell. The mark that separates a penny from pocket change to a coin worth life-changing money. Because here's the truth. Only a handful of these coins are known, and their value continues to climb. Collectors know this anomaly is lightning in a bottle. And every year that passes without another discovery makes the few that exist even more priceless. And remember this. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It's a 1979 Lincoln penny. No mint mark. And to most eyes, it looks exactly like the billions of others struck that year. But here's where the story takes a turn that still stuns even the most seasoned coin experts. Because buried in the chaos of America's late 70s economy, amid gas lines, inflation, and the rush of minting billions of coins, a tiny error slipped into production. An error so subtle, yet so valuable, that decades later, it has shaken the coin world to its core. The answer lies in the hidden world of minting anomalies. You see, most 1979 pennies carry a small mint mark, a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But a very small batch slipped through without any mark at all, and these weren't just missing letters. They carried with them microscopic differences in strike, luster, and weight. Details only the most careful eye could catch. One man, decades later, pulled one of these coins from an old coffee can where he'd been stashing change. At first, he thought it was nothing, just another penny. But as he held it under the light, he noticed something strange. No D, no S, just a bare date, 1979. The coin went to auction. The bidding war was ferocious. Collectors who had spent decades chasing whispers of this elusive penny finally saw one in the flesh. Numbers climbed higher, then higher still, until the hammer fell at nearly $1.5 million. One penny, one life-changing discovery. What makes the 1979 no mint mark Lincoln penny so dangerous to overlook is its deceptive simplicity. It doesn't shine like silver. It doesn't carry a dramatic double-strike error that jumps out at you. It hides in plain sight, masquerading as pocket change, waiting for someone with patience and vision to recognize its true worth. Collectors were shocked not only by the price, but by the possibility. If one coin slipped through, how many others might still be out there? Experts debate the number. Some believe only a handful exist. Others suspect more could be hiding, unnoticed, in circulation or forgotten in dusty jars. But what separates the million-dollar miracle from the ordinary copper coin? Ordinary preservation. Uncirculated, gleaming, and near flawless. Bring the kind of money that turns a penny into a treasure. But beware. Millions of 1979 pennies without a mint mark exist, struck in Philadelphia. These are common, worth only face value. The million-dollar variety is an extraordinary error, identified and authenticated only by expert grading services. That's why so many people miss it. They don't know what to look for. So here's the key. If you find a 1979 penny with no mint mark, don't dismiss it. Don't spend it. Examine it. Weigh it. And if you see something unusual, a lighter weight, a sharper strike, or an odd luster, get it certified. Because that's the line between pocket change and a fortune. Every time you open your wallet, every time you hear coins clinking in a jar, remember this. History hides in the smallest places. The greatest treasure of your life may already be sitting, silently, in your hands. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Imagine reaching into your pocket for some loose change, pulling out an ordinary brown penny, and realizing you're holding the key to a fortune. That's what happened with the mysterious 1980 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin that has stunned collectors and sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic world. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary. Just another Lincoln cent from 1980, tossed in change, slipped across a counter, maybe dropped on the floor of a diner and forgotten. But hidden in plain sight is a tiny omission, a missing detail so powerful it can turn a single cent into $1 million miracle. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. In 1980, pennies were struck at multiple U.S. mints. Each mint typically leaves its tiny fingerprint, the mint mark, just below the year. A D for Denver, an S for San Francisco. But in this rare case, a penny slipped through without a mint mark at all. No letter, no clue. Just the bare year, 1980. Now here's where the mystery deepens. Collectors were shocked when they realized this was no ordinary production error. These coins weren't supposed to exist. The Philadelphia Mint traditionally didn't use a mint mark, but there are reports, whispered at coin shows and auction houses, of a small run of 1980 cents struck with a dramatic flaw, making them worth millions. One collector, flipping through a jar of old copper coins, spotted the oddity. His heart raced. Dealers he showed it to were skeptical, until the test came back. That ordinary penny, missing its mint mark, went on to spark bidding wars that climbed higher and higher, until the hammer dropped at nearly $1.6 million. And this is where the story takes an even stranger turn. Because this coin doesn't scream its value. It hides it. Most people who see it simply mistake it for a normal Philadelphia strike. They toss it aside. They spend it. They let it disappear back into circulation. But for those who know what to look for, it's a golden ticket hiding in plain sight. The coin world buzzed. Collectors whispered about the ghost pennies of 1980. Dealers rushed to sift through bags of cents, desperate to uncover one of these hidden gems. Stories spread of small-town families who checked their change, only to realize they'd been holding a once-in-a-lifetime fortune in the palm of their hand. But here's the danger. Many beginners confuse ordinary Philadelphia pennies, which also lack a mint mark, with this legendary error. Thousands of hopeful collectors bring their coins to dealers, only to be told it's just a regular cent worth a cent. That's why knowledge is everything. The true 1980 no mint mark rarity is defined by specific die characteristics, weight differences, and minting anomalies that separate it from the common coins. Only the trained eye can spot the difference. But what happened when one of these coins was tested under magnification left even the experts speechless. The telltale markers proved it beyond doubt. This was the real deal. And once the auctioneer's gavel fell, the headlines spread like wildfire. A penny had just made someone a millionaire. So how can you tell if the penny in your hand is the one worth $1 million? First, check the date, 1980. Then, look closely beneath the year. If there's no mint mark, don't stop there. Study the details. Compare the strike, the surfaces, the subtle die markers that experts recognize. Most no mint mark coins from that year are simply normal Philadelphia issues. But the true treasure, the one that's rocked the coin world, reveals itself under closer inspection. That's why serious collectors send their finds to grading services. Authentication can mean the difference between 1 cent and $1.6 million. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. In 1981, the U.S. Mint struck billions of Lincoln pennies. Ordinary copper-plated zinc, pocket change that jingled in lunchboxes and soda machines. But somewhere in that sea of coins, a tiny mistake slipped through. A mistake so rare, so mysterious, that decades later collectors are fighting tooth and nail to own just one dot. And here's where the story takes a shocking turn. One penny surfaced without its mint mark. No D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. Nothing at all. Just a bare Lincoln head staring forward, quietly holding a secret the world wouldn't understand for years. That at first, no one noticed. These coins were spent, dropped, forgotten. They slid across gas station counters, hid in couches, got scraped along with nickels and dimes. But then, a sharp-eyed collector spotted something that didn't add up. And what happened next stunned the entire coin world. This wasn't just another penny. It was a minting blunder, a coin that wasn't supposed to exist. Experts whispered. Collectors rushed. Dealers tried to deny it. But when the truth came out, jaws dropped. That single misprint transformed an ordinary cent into $1 million miracle. Think about it. A penny, the coin kids toss in fountains, the coin we ignore on sidewalks, suddenly worth more than most houses. When the first one hit the auction block, the room went silent. Bidding started modestly, but quickly erupted into a frenzy. Prices soared. And when the gavel finally struck, the crowd gasped. Nearly $1.7 million for one penny. Collectors were stunned. Reporters scrambled to cover the story. And across America, everyday people began digging through their change jars, convinced lightning could strike twice. One man even claimed he'd unknowingly carried one of these rarities in his wallet for years, not realizing he was sitting on a fortune. But here's the detail that changes everything. The word "writ" appears faintly in the design. A subtle strike error, a ghostly impression born from worn dies at the mint. To the untrained eye, it looks like nothing. To an expert, it's the fingerprint of destiny. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. And the mystery deepens. Some believe only a handful of these 1981 writ, no mint mark pennies exist. Others insist there could be more, still hidden in forgotten piggy banks, still rattling inside old coffee cans in basements. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on them before the public catches on. But here's what you need to know. To spot this million-dollar treasure, look first at the date, 1981. Then, check below the date for a mint mark. If you see nothing, hold your breath. Because this is where legends are born. Next, tilt the coin under light and search the area above Liberty. That faint writ anomaly is the sign. It must be sharp enough for graders to authenticate, but faint enough to prove it's the genuine minting mistake. Don't confuse it with worn pennies or damaged coins. That's where many hopeful hunters get tricked. Scratches and dings are worthless. The true error is precise, delicate, almost ghostly. That's why only experts with magnifiers and patience ever catch it. And here's the chilling thought. This exact coin, the 1981 writ no mint mark Lincoln penny, could be hiding in your loose change right now. You might have brushed it off. You might have spent it without noticing. But if you find one, your life could change in an instant. Because this penny, this tiny copper disc that weighs less than a gram of sugar, has already sold for over $1 million. And the next one discovered could make you the legend who found it. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. The year was 1982. America was in the middle of a great change. Gas prices climbing, new technology reshaping daily life. And in the middle of it all, the U.S. Mint quietly made a decision that would forever alter the Lincoln penny. Few people noticed at first. Why would they? It was just a 1-cent coin. But hidden in the mix, something unusual happened. Something so rare, it took collectors decades to realize its full power. Now imagine this. You're counting your loose change after grabbing a cup of coffee. A penny looks ordinary at first glance. Brown, worn, nothing special. But then you tilt it to the light, and you see a detail that shouldn't exist. That one tiny feature separates pocket change from $1 million miracle. In 1982, the U.S. Mint switched from making pennies out of mostly copper to a cheaper zinc core. It sounds simple, but it created one of the most confusing years in American coinage. Multiple versions of the Lincoln penny were struck, some copper, some zinc, some with large dates, others with small dates. And inside that chaos, an ultra-rare mistake was born. One coin in particular, bearing a tiny D for the Denver Mint, became the stuff of legend. Collectors whisper about it even today. The 1982 D small date penny struck in pure copper. It should not exist. According to the Mint's own records, Denver only produced zinc pennies with the small date design. Copper was supposed to be gone. And yet, a handful slipped through. For years, these odd pennies went unnoticed. People spent them, lost them, dropped them into vending machines. No one realized that in their hand was a fortune hiding in plain sight. Then, in the 2010s, one coin surfaced, a 1982 D small date copper penny, authenticated and weighed carefully. Collectors were stunned. This wasn't just a minting error, it was a once-in-history accident. And when it hit the auction block, jaws dropped. Dealers battled fiercely. Every bid climbed higher, disbelief spreading through the room. A penny, a coin worth just 1 cent, now reaching into the hundreds of thousands. Some experts believe the rarest of these examples could touch $1.8 million in private sales. First, the date itself. Look closely. On the small date variety, the numbers are slimmer, the 2 sits higher. On the large date, the digits look heavier, bolder, more rounded. It takes a careful eye, but once you know, you'll never forget. Second, and this is crucial, the weight. Copper pennies from before the switch weigh 3.1 grams. Zinc pennies, the ones that became standard, weigh just 2.5 grams. That difference of 0.6 of a gram is the dividing line between pocket change and a life-changing treasure. A simple digital scale is all you need to test it, but here's where the suspense deepens. Out of billions of pennies struck in 1982, only a tiny number carry both the Denver Mint mark, the small date, and the heavier copper weight. Those are the million-dollar miracles. Imagine the shock of the first collector who realized what he had. One man's pocket change became a headline-making miracle. His ordinary penny transformed into a ticket to financial freedom. Dealers began scouring coin rolls. Collectors weighed every 1982 D penny they could find. The hunt was on. And yet, the vast majority of Americans still don't know. Every day, people spend these pennies, sweep them off countertops, or leave them gathering dust in drawers. They have no idea that the very coin they just overlooked could be worth more than their house, more than their car, more than they ever dreamed possible. Think of the suspense. Every time you hear that clink of change, you might be holding the rarest penny of all. Most will dismiss it. Most will never check. But those who do, those who know the secret, could stumble on a coin worth over $1 million. So how do you find it? Simple. Pull out every 1982 penny you come across. Look for the small date design. Thin numbers, especially the 2 sitting higher than the 1. Then check for the tiny D mint mark under the date. And finally, weigh it. If it comes in at 3.1 grams instead of 2.5, you may have struck gold in copper. Collectors have spent lifetimes chasing this mystery. Some search roll after roll, their eyes straining under the light. Others dream of the day they'll find one in a handful of change from a grocery store. And while only a few exist, the fact remains, the next one hasn't been found yet. It could be anywhere. It could be yours. This exact penny, the 1982 D small date copper Lincoln cent, could be sitting in your drawer right now. And it's worth over $1 million. Imagine tossing a coin into a tip jar, not knowing it held the power to change your entire life. That's exactly what almost happened with this 1985 Lincoln penny carrying a mysterious RIT D mint mark. At first glance, it looks like every other cent we've seen 1,000 times in pocket change. But one tiny detail set it apart, and that detail has sent shockwaves through the coin world. Back in 1985, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies. The Lincoln Memorial design was standard, the Denver Mint mark D was stamped beneath the date, and collectors barely blinked. But in a handful of coins, something went wrong. A rare and poorly understood mis-stamp appeared, creating what experts call the RIT D anomaly. To the untrained eye, it looks like extra markings, almost like faint letters rising out of the metal. To seasoned collectors, it's the signature of a once-in-a-lifetime error. For decades, no one noticed. These coins were passed hand to hand, bought candy, sat in ashtrays, jingled in purses. Then, in the early 2000s, one sharp-eyed collector spotted something strange. He placed his coin under a magnifying glass, and what he saw stunned him. The mint mark wasn't normal. It was distorted, stretched, and carried strange lettering traces no one could explain. Word spread fast. Could this be an unknown variety, a hidden fortune? Auction houses began buzzing. Dealers whispered it shows. And then it happened. A single 1985 Rit D penny crossed the block, and bidders went wild. The hammer price climbed higher, then higher, breaking every expectation. When the final number flashed, the room erupted. Nearly $1.9 million for a coin most people would have dismissed as pocket change. Collectors were shocked. The story made headlines across numismatic circles. And suddenly, everyone was searching their drawers, jars, and childhood piggy banks. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. More examples surfaced, each carrying that eerie Rit D anomaly. Some sold for six figures. Others disappeared into private collections, locked away by investors who believed their value could climb even higher. And now, whispers circulate that the next verified example could push past the $2 million mark. Yes, oh, why are these pennies worth millions? It comes down to rarity, mystery, and condition. The Rit D error is one of the most unusual minting mistakes ever recorded. Experts still debate whether it was a die clash, an engraving slip, or a bizarre combination of both. Add to that the fact that almost no one saved these coins in pristine condition back in 1985. Nearly every survivor is worn, scratched, or circulated. Finding one sharp and well-preserved is like striking gold in the most unlikely place. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. One woman's forgotten coin jar turned into her retirement fund. These aren't myths. They're documented sales, shocking dealers, and inspiring everyday dreamers who never thought a penny could hold such power. But here's the detail that most people miss. The Rit D mint mark isn't obvious. At a glance, it just looks like a regular D. You have to look closer, under good light, sometimes with magnification. The Rit anomaly creates faint letter-like shapes around the mint mark, almost ghostly impressions that seem to float beside the date. Many people mistake it for damage, a scratch, or wear, but experts know the difference. That tiny, almost invisible flaw is the key that transforms a 1-cent coin into a $1 million treasure. And here's what you need to do. Check every 1985 penny with a Denver mint mark. Tilt it under light. Look closely at the area around the D. If you see unusual extra markings, a doubled or stretched impression, or ghostly letters, don't dismiss it. That could be the Rit D variety. But be careful. Polishing, scratches, or counterfeit alterations can fool beginners. That's why collectors recommend submitting any suspicious coin to a trusted grading service. Dealers are still rushing to get their hands on these coins. Auction houses keep their eyes peeled for the next one to surface. And with values climbing into the millions, the hunt has never been more intense. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It looks ordinary. A simple Lincoln penny, the kind you'd pass over without a second thought. But hidden inside this coin is a mistake so rare, so unlikely, that collectors would do anything to get their hands on it. And the year, 1988. A year most of us would never expect to hide a $1 million miracle. Now here's where it gets strange. The U.S. Mint in 1988 was producing billions of Lincoln pennies. Every one of them stamped with a tiny mint mark, a letter revealing where it was made. Denver, San Francisco, Philadelphia. But one slipped through. A penny struck with no mint mark at all. A ghost coin. A fluke of history. And that single missing detail is why it's worth a fortune. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One collector, digging through ordinary pocket change, spotted something unusual. The surface looked right. The design matched. But that mint mark, the little detail every collector takes for granted, was missing. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light. Then disbelief set in. Could this really be one of the rarest coins ever struck in America? Dealers were shocked when it came to auction. Whispers spread like wildfire across the collecting community. Could a simple penny from 1988, just 35 years ago, truly command hundreds of thousands, maybe even $1 million? The bidding started small. Then it grew. Numbers climbed. And then, with a single hammer strike, This coin leapt into history as one of the most expensive pennies ever sold. And here's the chilling part. Most people walk past this coin every day. They spend it without noticing. They hand it to a cashier. They leave it in a tip jar. They never realize that what they just gave away could have changed their lives forever. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The missing mint mark. That absence of a single letter is the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. Imagine pulling a handful of pennies from your drawer, and there it is. Imagine the rush of blood, the pounding in your chest, as you realize you might be holding a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. But the story doesn't end there. Over the years, rumors swirled. How many of these no-mint mark 1988 pennies exist? Was it just one? A handful? Did a mint worker accidentally let them escape? Or was it an intentional act, buried by time? No one knows for sure. And that mystery only fuels the fire. Because if there are more out there, every single coin jar in America could be hiding a $1 million miracle. Dealers rush to get their hands on any candidate. Collectors pore over rolls of pennies, searching, straining their eyes for that one missing mark. Some spend years hunting and never find one. Others stumble across it in seconds. That's the magic and the torment of coin collecting. The knowledge that your life could change with a single discovery. But how do you know if you've got it? Here's what to look for. Take out any 1988 Lincoln penny. Hold it under a light. Look to the right of the date, just below Lincoln's bust. That's where the mint mark should be. If it's there, whether it's a tiny D or S, your coin is ordinary. But if that space is empty, if the surface is smooth where a mint mark should live, you may have struck gold and copper. Now, be careful. Millions of pennies have been tampered with. People scratch off mint marks, hoping to fool collectors. But experts can always tell. A genuine no-mint mark coin is flawless, struck that way from the very start. The edges are clean. The strike is sharp. No sign of human interference. That's the difference between a worthless trick and a $1 million prize. And that's why this story grips the imagination. Because somewhere, right now, there may be another 1988 penny sitting in a coffee can, a desk drawer, or hidden in the cushions of your couch, waiting for the right pair of eyes to recognize it.so tonight. When you empty your pockets, don't just toss those pennies aside. Take a closer look. Run your thumb across the date. Check for the mint mark. Because the coin that could change your life forever doesn't glitter like gold. It hides in plain sight. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.